Hey, how's it going?
Good, how are you?
Good. I'm so sorry I'm a minute late. I realized my desk clock is literally 2 minutes behind. I'm gonna fix that right now.
No problem.
I like looked at the computer. I'm like 101. Oh no. And my desk clock's like it's 12:59. There we go. I have this cute little I have a cute little desk clock, and what good is it doing me right now? All right. How's your Saturday starting?
It's okay. It's pretty well, it's warm here, but it's pretty dreary up in I'm outside of Minneapolis.
Oh, okay. Okay, yeah, it's not too sunny out right now, just relatively. Not too hot yet.
hmm It's a cool
Yeah.
necklace.
What's that?
It's a cool necklace.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, I got this off of Etsy and it's like my favorite little jewelry thing I got. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was fun.
So I can just jump around then
Yeah.
getting to the Fire Emblem stuff.
Yeah, wherever you want to start, I am good with. So yeah, fire away.
So in terms of a professional voiceover, was your first job playing a monkey in a kid's app?
It was. That's so funny that you brought that up. I did not expect that to be to be the first question. That's so funny. But it's an appropriate place to start. So yeah, basically what's funny about that one, um, I always thought that when I was getting into acting and getting into voiceover, that I didn't truly make it until I was being paid to do it. I know that's, you know, just a silly thing, but that was kind of my mindset at the time. And so that was my first paid VO gig. And when that happened, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm a voice actress now officially. But yeah, that I went to Comic-Con one year and it was pretty early when I was still, getting in the swing of things. And I went to Comic-Con and I was all dressed in cosplay. I think I was just doing the Lolita kind of outfit that day. And I went to a restaurant next door to the venue. And I'm sitting there with my friend and we're just talking. And there's other people from the convention around talking and stuff. And the party next to us, the one person complimented me on my outfit. And we started talking. And lo and behold, I met this person, Mike, who eventually cast me in that role. And so it's again one of those kind of weird instances where you never know who you're going to meet. And so always just being open and willing to meet new people, make new friends can definitely, you know, be that bridge from point A to point B sometimes. So yeah, that was my first paid VO gig that I literally met the person at a restaurant at Comic-Con. So that's the story of that. But yeah, it was a really fun gig. Everyone was super nice and did a lot of very young kid monkey voices.
How long before was that you moved to LA then?
That was when I was already in LA.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So that was just a couple years after I got to LA. So I think that was I came here in 2012 and I think that was just a couple years after that. So either 2014-ish in that area was when that went down. So yeah.
How did you get into SAG then?
I'm actually not in the union yet.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah, I'm actually non-union. Not because of any particular reason. I just figured that when the opportunity presents itself, that'll be the time. I'm not going to rush, doing all of that. Just because when you're either in the union or non-union, that's going to really dictate a lot of the gigs that you take. And so I've never had a need to join,
okay.
which is the only reason. Yeah, I'm not against or for whatever, like whatever works for others. Yeah, and the union does really great things for people. So yeah, I'm not against it or anything. Just haven't had the need to join as of yet. Yeah.
So up until you first got involved with Fire Emblem, what kind of voice work were you primarily doing then?
Yeah, so prior to Fire Emblem, Yeah, it was a lot of kind of introductory gigs, kind of like that animation one that I did that we were just talking about. But yeah, I did. Let's see, gosh, because now that I'm thinking about it, I was like, this was actually quite a handful of years ago. um, yeah. So what was I doing? So honestly, a lot of what I was doing was actually taking classes. I was taking a lot of classes as much as I could afford at the time. I was, pinching my pennies to spend on those. Classes and workshops, and I really got a lot out of them. So worth it, 100%. That's kind of how I networked a lot, met a lot of people, as we mentioned. Meeting people and just being open to meeting new people is really helpful when it comes to this kind of thing. So yeah, that was mostly what I was doing. I was still auditioning a lot, doing small gigs here and there. Like I've done like several radio type podcast spots and things like that. But as far as video games, I wasn't actually doing too much until Fire Emblem. Not that I didn't want to. Of course, that was like the main goal, was to do video game VO, just because I love video games. But yeah, mostly classes and auditioning.
And was how the first Fire Emblem that you worked on, was that also a normal audition, or was it someone that you knew?
So I was referred by someone I took a class from, and they referred me to auditions. So I still auditioned for the role. But what was nice was that I was able to kind of show what I was capable of by that person who referred me. So that was really ultra nice and sweet of them to give me that opportunity. And so I auditioned, and I did get cast for the Fire Emblem Fates roles. So for that gig, that was Kagero and
Midori.
yeah, sorry, I was thinking of the NPC. I was thinking of Layla, and of course Midori. Yeah, so yeah.
Do you think that you still have the most affinity with Kagero then?
She is special, because what's funny is that out of all the Fire Emblem voices, that voice is probably the closest to my natural voice, right? Like I feel like I settle in the lower kind of talking voice. And so, and for Kagero, she's even lower. Like I got to even go a little lower when I do her voice, like really down here. And so, but yeah, I do have a special place in my heart for her, because she was just that first major role in my eyes that I've gotten, and well, I shouldn't even say major. I mean, all the roles I've gotten, I looked at as being very special and major. But because of Nintendo being so prestigious and something I grew up with, that role was very special to me. And she's a badass ninja. Who doesn't want to play make-believe and be a badass ninja? So yeah.
Do you think that you personally relate the most to her then, out of the other characters?
She's almost like who I want to relate to the most, because she is such a badass, right? But honestly, I think Nino and I have a lot in common. And it's just that inner child in me, and also the whole wanting to help and do my best. I know everyone's like, when is she gonna say it? But yeah, no, I mean, in life, I really try and do my best with everything I do. And so for Nino, her lines and her character just come very naturally to me, just because I really do feel like I relate to her on a deep level. Mm-hmm. Yeah, she's so cute too.
And has there been a case, I don't know if it's with Fire Emblem, but for voiceover in general so far, what is the most emotionally involved you've had to go?
There was actually a role I did in this indie game called Colina Legacy. It's by a Brazilian studio, I believe, and it it's kind of like a horror, like puzzle game kind of game. And so obviously with the horror genre, you're going to have to get into a really dark place. For this particular role, I was actually playing the role of the younger version of the main character in his flashbacks. And so this was actually a young boy voice that I did. And I had to get definitely in the mode of acting as this character. So the way that I did that, actually, I went to this one class by Andrea Toyas, who's the director at Blizzard. She did a class before, and she gave us a list, like a printout list of songs that you can listen to that has helped her get people in the mode of, you know, a certain emotion or whatever. So I'm like, you know what, let me get that paper out. And so I grabbed that paper and I'm looking at it, and there was a couple songs for like deep emotional, like whatever. And so I put on one of the songs, and that really kind of got me in that mode. And I actually sat in the dark with the lights off, and I listened to that song over and over and over, and just like really thought about it. And then I then went in the booth and auditioned and got that role. And so I emailed her, and I was just like, thank you so much for this song, because like it really helped me with this audition. So thank you. And so when I went to the gig, I used that same song on the drive there. I'm going there, the song's on, and like, so music's very powerful, right? Like I think about all the songs that you listen to and like where it takes you, you know, what memories you think of and things like that. So as I'm listening to the song, I'm thinking of being at home, sitting in the dark, listening to a song over and over. And so when I got there, like I was almost in that zone, right? It wasn't until, like, you know, you get in the booth and you put on, you put on the cans and you're reading the lines, but I was 90% there. So I get in the booth, and we went through the lines, and yeah, like it was definitely an interesting session, because yeah, you have to be in this very dark place, and the story, not to go too far into it, but the story, the boy went through a lot of trauma, and you know, it's trauma that I didn't necessarily go through myself, right? And so how do you act in that way, right? So these are, you know, music was a very helpful way of getting in that. And in one of the memories, the child almost drowns. And so that you know, it was a very dark topic. It was a very dark game. And the particular recording session, like I even had a bowl of water in the booth with me, and I'm literally like pouring water on myself in the booth while fake drowning. It was a very intense session. Yeah. But the experience, like the fact that, you know, VO, you get to professionally play pretend. I mean, think about when you were a kid and you play pretend and how into it you were, and like, you know, the characters and the scenery, and like you're able to just like think of, you know, endless imagination when you're a child. And so in the booth, that's what we do as VOs. We professionally play pretend. And so yeah, so yeah, that was probably the most like dark kind of session that I've done. Yeah.
And speaking of boy voices, I have found that certain voice actresses that I've talked to have particular processes for it. Is there something that you do specifically?
Yeah, you know, my advantage is that I grew up with only brothers, so I knew exactly what they sounded like growing up, right? And again, with my advantage of having kind of a lower tone to my voice already, it's just a matter of making small tweaks, right? So I've taken several classes where we've also talked about, you know, doing young boy voices. And as women, you know, our voices don't necessarily go through the same register changes, you know, as men do. I mean, generally our voices can go lower as time goes on, but it's not as like drastic of a change, right? So the thing about doing young boy voices, some of the things you got to remember, you know, is you want to sound, and this is honestly for any child voice in general, not just young boy, but like I go through kind of the same motions for it, but you're you're not as well spoken yet, right? So
Yeah.
you're not enunciating very strongly. Your T's aren't very sharp. Your D's aren't. So when you start to talk like a kid, you just want to kind of start getting really gummy in your mouth. Like you're not really just pronouncing things as clearly, you know? And so that's where I start. And then you go with the range of the tone, right? So if it's like really young, maybe you want to actually heighten it up and just like really make everything all gummy here. And then you just put your voice a little higher. And now I'm just, you know, kind of younger than I was before, you know. That's just some of the things that I do, but obviously depending on the type of child it is, you know, is it a rich child? Is it a poor child? Is it a, you know, maybe almost approaching teenager? Is it really, really young, you know? So then you just kind of take the degree and run with it that way, you know? So, but that's where I start, is kind of just softening up the palate, you know?
I think probably the most interesting one I've heard was back when I did Kari Walgren. She said that she does a James Brown impression. What starts with that?
I love that. You know what? I haven't heard that. I'll have to. That's funny. Yeah. I like that. Yeah.
So back to Fire Emblem with Heroes. Has it mostly been Patrick directing you?
There have been several, but yeah, it's hard to remember who's done the most, but everyone that I've come across with at the sessions have been super nice and amazing. So, but yeah, I've definitely come across Patrick.
Is the most recent one you did, I think, would have been the Faye and Aiden duo, like the Easter thing?
I actually don't know. I actually don't know which one was the last one I've done. Because sometimes I would do one and then I would do another one, but this one came out first and this one hasn't come out. So it sometimes the order kind of switches. So then I'm like, oh, which one did I do last time? But it was a tad bit ago since I've done a session. So you'll have to forgive me. My time just kind of like, but yeah.
What's your favorite alt?
So I love Halloween in general. I mean, like I love cosplaying, so I love Halloween, I guess too, because I love the dress up and all that. So when I did the maid Kagero, we had such a fun time, just because like the fact that one of her lines is like, I'm gonna take your candy. I thought it was hilarious. And when we were doing those lines, we're all just laughing because I'm just trying to say it like as Kagero, but just as ridiculous as I can with still being Kagero. And we landed on that one that's in the game. And it was really funny to me. So that one I thought was funny. I also actually thought it's always the Kagero ones actually that are pretty funny, but the Easter outfit, you know, Kagero, you know, she's wearing a very, you know, revealing outfit, and her lines basically allude to the fact that she is, right? So she's like, this isn't what I usually wear, but I'm here to do the job still. So, and so when we were doing those lines, we were also laughing because it's just funny. Yeah. Well, whenever I do Faye, we always have a good time. So that's always fun. But yeah, I think the funny outfits that Kagero has is sometimes some of the funnier sessions because we just have a lot of fun with it. Yeah.
I would take it too, since you've not just with Faye, but with Nino and Midori too. About that's pretty easy for you to slip into that voice.
Yeah. It's funny. I actually talk with like this kind of higher voice sometimes when I'm making jokes or talking with my friends. They're like, oh my goodness. Like I'll just do that naturally sometimes. And the fact that now I do it for characters is just really satisfying. They're like, I know that voice. I'm like, yes, this is my jokey voice that I get to use for characters too. And what's funny is that Nino is, you know, her voice is higher, but then Faye's is like just a step up from that too, right? Like they're in almost the same zone, which is fun. But yeah.
Has there been another case outside of Fire Emblem where you've had to, I guess, alter your voice the most significantly for a role?
Yes. I'm trying to think of the exact game. So there's this one like kind of narrative Japanese game that I did called Princess Knight. And what I really loved about that, man, I loved that project so much. That was probably one of my favorite projects just because I got to do a lot in it and spend a lot of time with the characters, which was nice. Because sometimes when you go and you get to do these like Fire Emblem characters or whatever, you're in the booth for an hour and then it's done. You know, that's the only time frame that you get with that character. And with Princess Knight, I got weeks and weeks. You know, I got to record it from home, and I had a lot of time with the characters. But in that one, I did 3 different voices. I did they kind of play off of some fairy tale characters in that game, but I did the voice of Gretel. And I would say she was around that Nino Faye zone of high-pitched cute. But then in the same game, I did this other character who kind of had the shy anime girl voice. So it was actually it was very whispery, and it was like this. And I couldn't really go any louder than this. But when you do that for hours and hours, it's actually very straining. So you have to take a lot of breaks in between and be careful, because whispering is actually it puts a lot of pressure on your voice to do whispering for a long period of time, which is why when you're on vocal rest, you know, they tell you don't whisper either. Like that's even worse than talking. So that voice, even though it seems simple, it actually was, you know, a transformation. And in that same game, I played Alice, who in this game was a kind of a mad scientist type. And she was just all over the place. She was all up here and then very down here. And she had an accent, and she had, you know, just a lot of character to it. So that game, I got to play like a range, which was really fun. But yeah, I think actually that whispering voice was probably one of the most straining ones. But I'm trying to think of any like super altering, but I think that would probably, well, there was a gig I did where I had to do a French accent. And I'll tell you, a French accent's kind of is very hard. It's very hard. I can't even get into it without a little practice. It's very hard to do. So that I had to do some training and you know, get that down in order to do that gig. So I guess in a way that would be a big transformation for me. But yeah.
That is and yeah, back when I talked to Misty Lee, do you know who that is? She does Camilla.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She said that she can.
I love Camilla.
Yeah.
Oh, she's great. I bet they have a lot of fun in those sessions too.
Yeah. She said that she can only get into Camilla's vocal range if she has her arms up in the air the whole time.
Really?
Yeah, I thought that was.
Oh my gosh. That's so interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so interesting. I get it. Yeah, I get it. I definitely get it. Because, yeah, when you're in the booth, I mean, it's good to move around too when you're doing your lines and stuff. You don't want to be too rigid because it can come out in your performance. So that's interesting that she has to raise her arms. Wow. That's very interesting. I like it. Hey, whatever works, man. Whatever works. With Kagero, I definitely try to keep a very strong stance in the booth when I'm doing her character. So, like, I try to make like kind of a pose, you know, or whatever while I'm doing her lines and I'm saying them like this. Like I'll definitely do that. Obviously with efforts, which I've done a lot of efforts, I'll punch in the air. Or if I'm doing Nino, you know, she's magic, right? So I'm almost like doing some Harry Potter stuff in the booth when I'm doing her efforts. And then Faye, yeah, I mean Faye, I'm definitely like, yeah, like I'm doing the efforts that I think she would be doing in battle, or like up here, you know. But yeah, for efforts, most definitely I move around. Yeah. I try not to make noise, obviously, and not wear any bangly, jangly jewelry while I do it. Or, and at times I've taken my shoes off too, just in case I had noisy shoes too. So, just to, you know, be able to move without making noise.
Do some stuff that we haven't already talked about. Although there's a lot of people that were just wondering if you play Heroes.
I do play it very casually. Yeah, I do play it very casually, and I try to always log in to get the orbs so I can, save up for when I see something I like, or because I try to get all of Ryoma's outfits, so I'm logging in to get the orbs. It's kind of like a trading card game to me. Like I want to collect all the cards, I want to collect all the heroes, and yeah, so it's a really fun casual game. I've always liked kind of that tactical, move your pieces around the board type games. So yeah, Fire Emblem, I've only played a little bit before Fates. But I actually was really into Final Fantasy Tactics growing up. So Fire Emblem definitely obviously in that same vein. So yeah, I love that type of game. And yeah, so I haven't played too much beyond Heroes after Heroes came out, but it's on my list. I have such a backlog of games to play, so yeah.
There were some people saying if it was pretty similar working with IS in comparison to Cup of Tea.
Well, everyone's been really great. So yeah, I mean, I love being at Cup of Tea. I love the folks over there. They're the sisters that run it. They're just amazing. And yeah, so I mean, I like everywhere I've recorded thus far. I've honestly haven't had an experience going to a studio that I haven't liked. So,
Okay.
yeah.
One was if you could make a duo or a harmonic duo of the four that you do, which two do you think you would put together?
So, well, what's funny about Faye is that, when you have an extreme character like that, pairing her like her Easter skin and the other character, thank you. The other, yeah, pairing her with her made a lot of sense because you have this like quiet, somber type, and then you have this like energy ball, right? So that was a funny pairing. So I almost think that her and Kagero would be kind of funny.
Mm-hmm.
But then at the same time, there's part of me that thinks that Nino and Faye would actually be funnier because Faye's like, they're both good people, but Faye, I think has less of a like moral backing than Nino does. So like Faye might think that she's doing something like cool and fun, but it might actually be like something that gets her in a lot of trouble. Whereas Nino has such a very moral, like can do no wrong type attitude. So I feel like Nino would be always pulling Faye out of trouble. Yeah. So I think that would be fun.
And then are you comfortable like listening to yourself in those performances?
It's funny. Some people say, I feel like people kind of have very differing opinions about hearing themselves. I mean, I think that I've gotten more used to it. I think at first when I was recording, I was like really nitpicking everything I did. And because when you're mostly recording from home and you're doing the work and you're editing your voice, it's better if you do get used to hearing your own voice. I'll tell you that if you're going to be listening to it for hours while you're editing stuff. Yeah, but I don't think I've had too much trouble in the past. I feel like I'm pretty used to it by now. And I record with cans on too all the time. That's my preference. Just because I'm a very oral person, I like to hear everything and hear how I'm doing and be able to correct quickly. But yeah, I'm okay with hearing it. I think it's fun, to get to hear, you in a game. Like I said, I grew up playing video games all my life. I love video games and they're very special to me and my brothers. Like we played games together growing up, sitting on the couch, passing around the controller. Like this was something very near and dear to my heart. So when I got to show my brothers that, like, the amount of like pride and how proud they were of me, it was really special. So I'm okay with hearing it. I think of it in a different way, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Do you in Heroes, do you play some of your own characters or who do you play?
Yeah, I'll just to be fun, I'll put them all on the same team. So I have like the Kagero team and the Nino team and the Faye team. Or I'll have like all Kageros and Lord Ryoma, you know, just to be funny. But but yeah, I do try to level them up and get like the 5-star versions of them and stuff. So yeah, but I think though my main squeeze, my main team in Fire Emblem Heroes would be yeah, Camilla's pretty good. Obviously Ryoma I like to put in there. Niles and Jacob, yes, I love them. And then what's the oh gosh, what's his name? Well, Best Boy Corin too.
Yeah.
Best Boy Corin. I love putting him in the game. So I have like, you know, a couple Corins on a team, but yeah, there's a lot of really cool characters I like to play as. Sharina's so cute. I think I love her voice. Like, I think she's probably one of my favorite voices in that game. She's so cute. Yeah.
That's might be also hard to remember too, but do you have favorite lines?
Whenever Kagero talks about Lord Ryoma, I always find it funny because I'm like, oh, Lord Ryoma senpai. But Nino, gosh, I mean, do my best is funny. And whenever they have that line and, you know, several of her things, that's always fun. And then Faye. You know, it's honestly her efforts are funny to me just because they were a lot of fun to do. And there was like sometimes because when you're in a session you have to do like, you know, the attacks and then you have to take the attacks. And so when I'm taking the attacks as Faye, like we'll be doing them and then we laugh after because of how like kind of ridiculous it is, because like you would never be beating up on a small child, right? And so like so to like take hits as Faye, you're like and so we just would laugh after because it's like just so out there. But her efforts are fun, you know, when she's roaring, right? Because it's almost like she's playing pretend too, and she's the dragon because it's not using a dragon voice, it's using you know, her voice, which is kind of funny to me. So I love her little roar. She's so cute. Yeah, that would be some of my favorites.
What about alt that you'd personally like to see that they haven't already had, like alternates?
I mean, wouldn't a Midori one be fun, right? Wouldn't a Midori one, like if she try to think what she would even be. I mean, I'm always for Halloween, so I don't know, maybe a Midori Halloween one would be kind of fun, right? That'd be cool. Yeah.
It would be interesting if any of them got you know, the fallen or dark modes, like the evil.
Yeah, I wonder which one would actually do that, because they're all so wholesome.
Yeah.
I guess maybe Kagero, but even then, I mean, Kagero's like so honorable, you know, even though she's, you know, not the same wholesome as the other three. Yeah, these are all really great questions that everyone sent. And I just want to, you know, take a minute to say thanks to all these folks that posted questions. This is really, really sweet. Really nice.
Yeah, it's always been a really great fan base for the franchise.
Yeah. Yeah, everyone's been really, really great.
I guess, yeah, there's a funny one where between Nino and Faye, which one do you think you would want to adopt?
Well, probably Nino. Only because I mean, I would take them both with loving arms, but if I had to choose, probably Nino would be less trouble. I mean, it would be harder to own a dragon, you know, when you think about it. I don't know if I have the space for a dragon.
As a sidetracking a little bit, but when you did get your roles in Genshin Impact, were you auditioning for a playable character?
Gosh, how did that go down? It's like all of my pandemic gigs kind of like mesh into each other, like I said. Gosh, I feel like I submitted my demo for that.
Okay.
And then got a call. Yeah, I think that's what had happened. My demo probably either my animation or video game demo was just like sent off, and then I was cast to do NPCs for that particular event. So, and that was also a really great session too. Everyone was really cool, and obviously Genshin Impact is such a beautiful game. I gosh, that game is so, the music, chef's kiss. I love the music, I love the visuals, and so to be part of that work of art really was just really nice. Yeah.
Let's see. Oh, there was one that if you could voice any other Fire Emblem character, who do you think that would be?
If I but see, all the voices in there do that character justice. So like for me to be like, I'm gonna replace it, like I would never. But if I could, I mean, who doesn't want to be Camilla, right? She's like, she's just this like cool, sexy, like doesn't, care how she, she doesn't care how she comes off because she's so confident in herself, and she's like also a really good warrior too. Like, so I mean, that would be cool. But I mean, obviously that voice is already so well done. But that character's really cool. Oh, what's her name? Oh my gosh, I'm gonna mess it up. I have to make sure I say it right because I'm wow, why am I blanking? I'm so nervous to do this interview. I guess I'm like blanking on all the names. The archer from Fates, with whose name starts with an S. Shireen is adorable. I love but I mean, she's so good because of that voice. Like, I think that voice, like the voice print of Sharina's character is so unique, and I love the way they wrote that character. But yeah, those are probably a few.
Okay. Was that Setsuna?
Setsuna. Oh my gosh, why am I so yeah, don't beat me up, Reddit and YouTube. I'm so sorry. My deer in headlights, because I have a camera and everyone's looking. But yeah, Setsuna, she's so funny in that game.
That was mostly everything. There were just people they weren't questions. They were just disappointed that some of the other Nino alts don't have the "do your best" line.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, when you think about it, there's only so many lines they have, so gotta be very selective, I'm sure, on the developer's side,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I get it.
So
yeah, they all should, right?
Yeah. So what kind of other VO work do you primarily work on right now?
Yeah, I'm actually doing a lot more kind of commercial type stuff these days, or like corporate training stuff, which I know it's not as exciting sounding or glamorous as like video games or animation, but there's a lot to be learned in that space, and so I've been doing a lot diving into that as of late. But yeah, so that's probably what's going on with that right now.
And is there anything that you want to say to the Fire Emblem subreddit?
Oh man, I'm so thankful, and just kind of reading through all these names and seeing all these questions, and seeing how, and gosh, I mean, yeah, 39 comments and 353. I mean, and you reaching out to me too. I mean, it's so nice, because I'm also a fan. Like, I love going to conventions and like going to these panels and seeing these people talk and dressing up as my favorite characters. And I love playing video games. And so doing, having people come to me and wanting to hear what I have to say when I'm really one of y'all, like it's just such a I'm very grateful and thankful and just honored that y'all think I'm important enough to talk to. But it's just such a nice feeling, and I'm so happy for this community of people that have just been so wonderful, including yourself. And yeah, so I just thank you so much for all the love, and I love y'all too.
My final question then is always asking, what do you want your legacy to be?
Wow, what a question, right? Wow. What do you want your legacy to be? Wow. That's a great question. That's a great question. To do my best. No, I think that, well, honestly, yeah, that's hard to say. Because I think that could be a multi-layered question with many different things that one wants to achieve in life. So to try and pinpoint one thing is a very hard thing to do. But I just want the people that have come across me, either in person or online like this or whatever, just to know that I've always tried my best, to do my best. I've always wanted to do the right thing. I've always wanted to be a good person. I've always wanted to treat people with love and respect. And I just want, my legacy is that I just hope that me putting out that energy and trying to be a good person for everyone around me, and to do good in the world kind of rubs off on other people. And I hope that I've only had a good influence on people that have come across me. So I know that might be a little broad, a little general. But when you think about going through life and, the people that you meet and the people you come across, and even the people that you don't necessarily talk to, but the people that you interact in the grocery store, in line, and you decided to, say a couple words to them, was it a good interaction? Was it, putting good out into the world? I just hope that every time I come across someone, that I'm putting good out for them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, thanks. I'm glad that we got to do this.
I'm so glad that you reached out. Again, thank you so much. And I think the work that you're doing and, is really cool. I hope that it's as enjoyable for you as it is for me and probably others. I hope you're having just as much fun, because this is great. So thank you so much for putting this together.
Yeah, no problem. There's actually with some other Fire Emblem interviews I've done, I sometimes ask people to say certain funny lines as the character.
Yeah.
I can type something.
Oh man, I'll probably wake up the entire apartment doing any of those lines, because I definitely have to project. So sorry if it's going to be loud, but yeah, we got to do my best, right?
Oh, my name is Nino, and I always do my
best. And then let's see, Faye, what does she even say? She's like,
la 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 la. Ooh, a butterfly.
Or gosh, what does Kagero say? Then she's where is Lord Ryoma? I have a duty to protect him.
There we go.
There we go. Midori, I don't even remember what else. Oh, she says she's like she says something like
if you're hurt, I'll fix you up fast.
I think she says something like that.
Wow, Corin is so great at everything. Everything he does, everything he says, everything he touches is just so wonderful.
Nino, that's enough of Corin.
Yeah, that's great.
That's probably what she would. I have to know what it's coming off of. Why does she say this? That's funny. Mm-hmm. Why that line? Why is that the chosen one?
I don't know. Misty was just, I think it came up when I asked her how she relates to Camilla, and then she's like, oh, I probably wouldn't follow Corin to the ends of the earth. I'd probably be like, oh, that's enough of Corin.
I wouldn't. That's funny. She wouldn't follow him, but she does love him so. Yeah. But I guess to a certain extent, huh? Oh, that's funny. Oh, well, thank you for that. What a fun activity.
That'll be great.
Oh, man. Oh, well, thank you again so much for putting this together. And I hope everyone was entertained. Well, thank you, Chris. Appreciate it. Thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of your day. And yeah, we'll talk soon.
See ya.
Awesome. Bye.